I'm going to call the city workshop in the city of Port Richey, Tuesday night, February 26th, to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Terrence Rowe.
Here.
Councilwoman Jenny Sorrell.
Here.
Councilman William Dittmer.
Here.
Councilman Richard Bloom.
Here.
City Attorney James Matthew.
Here.
City Manager Vincent Lupo.
Here.
It doesn't look like anybody signed up for comments from the general public. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Just give us your name and address, please, when you come up.
My name is Charles Puccini. I'm at 7551 Cheltenham in Trinity. I work for Commercial Asset Partners Realty, so I'm in the commercial real estate business. So when I heard you're having a workshop tonight, this was of great interest to me because I spend a lot of time running around your city trying to make real estate transactions and improve things. So I wanted to go through your district and make comments. First thing I want to do is list some relative downtown districts: Palm Harbor, Dunedin, Tarpon Springs, West Chase over in Hillsborough County, and of course the biggest one, most successful, St. Petersburg, down in Pinellas County. I wanted to comment that what we're talking about is the economy of Port Richey, and most important always to remember is a good economy has more money coming in than going out. So what we're talking about here is investment, making the conditions for people to invest. This is what I do. I bring people around to buy property and invest and make projects. And what I always try and help is remind government of the role of government. The role of government is to have the opportunities available and have the conditions correct, and the money will come. So the opportunity is your waterfront overlay district program, and the conditions are what exist within the district. So one of the first things to address is signage. So when you come to the waterfront district, you don't know you're in the waterfront district, and this is a small bite. Signs compared to other projects are very expensive, but signage to let everyone know that they've actually arrived in the waterfront district, so that you can have photographs, social media, all of these things at your entrances. The first real initial concentration should be on walkability. In the commercial real estate business, when you have properties advertised, maybe 1-2 years this program's been going on, they call it the walkability score. And real estate is given a walkability score for how usable and how user-friendly is it. And of course, our district, in its current conditions, not so walkable friendly, so this should be towards the top of the list. It's also a small bite, not so expensive. And what I'm referring to are sidewalks, street lights, benches, everything that's a creature comfort. We've heard about golf cart paths and bicycle paths, these things, very important. There should be room set aside for a bus stop. I don't mean a regular bus stop, I mean a real bus stop. Changing is somehow working with Pasco County and having change of buses in this district, so you have the people getting off the buses, between buses, spending time. This is what we're all about, adding foot traffic to the district. Should also be a bicycle corral, and hopefully the hike and bike trail is the #1 priority, because this will be the link in the beginning of the walkability through the district. So whatever efforts can be put forward for a hike and bike trail. Public parking, of course, has been beat on the drum for year after year after year, but it's because it's very important. Our culture, everyone still likes to drive a car. One-way streets could be put into the plan.
Okay.
You gonna make me stop?
Yes, please. You can probably finish up with that later as we get into the heavier discussion, I suppose.
Can I get
Thank you.
Yeah.
Please. Yes, oh, you want, okay. Come on. Another 3 minutes?
Just wanted to comment on the specifications for the overlay district. In the beginning of the section, everything reads good, but again, you should add walkability to the buffering, parking, signage, landscaping. Walkability should be added. Under D, permitted uses, we have multifamily residence. That's what I see in my day and my travels. The area of 19 acres is not big enough to have a multifamily project built that will sustain, be big enough. In today's market, it's hundreds of units, and something like this doesn't fit in there. And if you have anything smaller, duplex, triplex, small units, this doesn't go consistent. There have been attempts in those areas I read before to put residents on top of businesses, and this usually doesn't go well, doesn't rent well. These are not desirable places. Non-permitted uses. Under E2I, we talk about amplified music. Amplified music should be allowed with limits. And sound should all be directed to the center of the district. Under J, we have the condition of the existing parking lots. A lot of our parking lots out there are really a safety issue and probably should need to be addressed. The issue of signage. Signage is part of the look of the district. Pasco County has a very nice code that relates the size of the building to the size of the sign. It's a very good formula and probably might want to be reviewed to be adopted as part of the sign. There's also discussion about just wood signs. This is a good idea, but there may need some creativity or some ability to vary this that doesn't require a variance. Because of the line of sight, most of the businesses in the district are quite a distance from US 19 travel, so seeing a non-lighted sign makes the sign not effective. That's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you for letting me talk.
Thank you. Mr. Soyan had his hand up, I believe.
Eric Soinen, 5914 Treadway, Gildog. I just wanted to say that, first of all, I think the plan is an awesome plan, and it just needs some tweaking and to be brought up to date. And I think even if when we start to do this, the first thing we need to do, in my opinion, is to work together. It just needs to be this cohesive, dialogue. And when it comes to Gildog, I just want to say in a public format here that I will work with the city and the businesses in any way possible, even as it pertains to Gildog property. I mean, if there's something that we think that maybe, like I talked to Mr. Lupo about potentially, building a sidewalk around the Gildog property and then, turn that over to the city. So I'm open to anything. And I talked to, when Bill Muse was the building official, we talked about doing some kind of a grand sign, like maybe the easiest way for me to describe it is like a Jurassic Park sign that would be somewhere that could be seen from 19, that would say, "Welcome to the Bayou," or whatever we all decide that we're gonna call this down there. But, and I think we need to look at like our parking restrictions and things like that. We're talking about 10-foot wide spaces and 20-foot deep spaces and things like that. And the biggest problem that we have in Port Richey as a whole is we don't have any space. So I think when we're looking at this plan, we need to look also at the setback rules and the parking situations and because we have a 3 square mile city, So the biggest thing I wanted to do is say that I want to be a part of it. I think this is my city as much as it is anybody's city, and I love it, and I love the community, and I just want to push for moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Reverend Sandy?
Sandra Baldy, 8612 Green Street. I agree with Eric, but my thought of this is have the city and all the businesses that are down there work together. See what they need, see what they want, see what the city can do for them. Come up with a plan that's a win-win situation. Nothing's gonna be perfect, so forget about it. But we can do certain things. We already have put down the sidewalks where the lights are gonna be, what kind of lights. My feeling is that's a business community. That's not a residential community, it's a business community. The city knows what the residents need. The businesses, the owners of the businesses know what the businesses need. Now, it's called a compromising situation. If all the businesses and the council meet, have workshops, decide what would be best for them and best for the residents and the city, it's gotta be a win-win situation. I'll leave you with that, thank you.
Thank you.
Diane McMahon, Aquatic Visions Incorporated. I'm here to represent the waterfront community, the shrimping industry of Florida that was so greatly hit by the red tide. We dodged a bullet again here in Pasco County. I'm here to be proactive, to help in any way that I can. I don't know if there's any kind of funding to help the shrimpers before hooters, before catches, before many of the restaurants around. It was the shrimping industry. And I feel that the ambiance of the shrimp boats down at the docks really helps the city a lot. I know sometimes the shrimpers can have bad reputation, and you know, we're working to, or I'm working to only hire drug-free people to work the boats. I rent, and my fiance, we rent our slips from Gill Dogs. They're nice enough to allow us to have our boats there. We take pride in our boats, and I'm concerned about the dockage over there behind the seaside. There's been 3 individuals that have fallen through those docks. I'm not here to tattletale or anything, but I feel that that should be, you know, taken into consideration, the safety. I'm very upset about what happened with the mayor. I knew him years ago, and I think we really need to come together as a community and do better background investigations. And this is just me talking off, and I'm not going to take up your time. I'm sure, you know, everybody is hurt by this, but I want to help in any way. I can do aquariums. I can set up a beautiful aquarium in the lobby here, you know, and this is what I want to do to help our community. So please feel free, any one of you that want to come to my business, my door is always open. I always need help as far as leading me to better deal with the government. The governor, I had contacted Scott, I had contacted many people, and we got nowhere. And we were really lucky that we didn't lose everything. Even in the situation of how they handled it in Pinellas County to clean up the dead fish down there, we should have been offered an opportunity to clean up those dead fish. They took one bunch of shrimpers and kept doing the same shrimpers to clean it up. There should have been a rotation. They were making almost $3,000 a day to get rid of those dead fish. And I was on the list, but I never got called. And because of that, we had to sell one of our boats and one of our trucks. And like I said, I just keep missing the opportunity to do better. And a lot of times, the situations that come about are situations that are out of our control, hurricanes. But anyway, whatever I can do. I'll leave my card.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Todd?
8301 Congress, Matthew Todd. When it comes to the businesses, I came into this town when the economy took a dump. Businesses were going out of business, people were losing their homes. Ask yourself when you're sitting at your home, how you like the conveniences of these businesses. That's what you gotta ask yourself. This is why you moved to a city, which adds value to your property. We're all invested in this city. We're all shareholders in this city. When you have management tying the hands of business owners, you're destroying this community. Our business owners, we need to embrace them and we need to cherish them and thank them with our whole hearts to move this city forward. Because with that, think about where your property value is going to lie. I've seen Mr. Soyan and his wife take literally a dump and sculpt it into something beautiful to drive by and see. Same with all the other business owners. So the thing of it is people like that are an asset to the community to move the city in the right direction. So what I'm asking you is anybody that's stopping that and obstructing that, please move them out of the way. Thank you.
Anyone else? And we'll get comments from the city manager. This plan that we're talking about is over 20 years old. After a very long and involved process with professionals, it came to light after many different meetings. And again, it's 1998. This is 2019. Obviously, it needs to be tweaked. It needs to be modified with today's current livability and workability standards. The city has been blessed in that it has a group of businesses and business owners who wish to get together and to work harmoniously to achieve a specific goal for this city. The city now has is in the process of utilizing grant funds for dredging, and part and parcel of that same operation is streets, sidewalks, and signage. But what has to occur now is for the legislative body, which is this council, to come to grips with what is requested by the industry and to make those changes so that administration can in fact implement those changes. Implementation is a function of legislation. Once the legislation is passed, implementation occurs. So with that, Mr. Vice Mayor, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to simply say that indeed a 21-year-old document needs some modifications, and we're looking forward to the input from the workers, from the industry, so that we can indeed move forward. Thank you. Comments from City Council?
Well, I have one. In previous meetings, they discussed possibly putting a new marina in, which I thought was a great idea. And I know one of the things that's holding that up is some of these ordinances that we have. The technology has changed quite a bit with fueling, spillage. I don't think that's really an issue anymore. And I think we can knock these things out ordinance by ordinance as we go through with the business owners and just start knocking each one out that needs to be done. And as far as I'm concerned, I mean, we could start right off the bat with the fueling station and vessel storage for the marina. I think we should move forward with removing that as an ordinance to remove that right away.
I agree, and I agree with everything that's been said here today, or tonight. I think this is a very important plan for the city. I'm afraid that it may be beyond our individual capability. And having said that, it may not be a bad idea to consider a architect designer to meet with the businesses and sit down with each business down there, sit down with council, and devise devise a plan of development that we would like to see in the waterway in that district. Get some professional input, what can be done, and then we can then attack those ordinances to effectively make it happen. That would be my recommendation, to get consultation with the appropriate people who can help us with this, because it most certainly needs to be done.
Mr. Hill?
I think it's an excellent idea to get a designer and architect. My only problem is where are we going, how are we gonna pay and finance for this? I mean, these guys don't do this for free. So, I'm game. I think if we work with the businesses and get everything going, we can find out what we need and how we need to do it, but we've gotta have a way to finance it.
I'd agree with that as well. I think city planner would be a definite asset as we look at this. And I think what brought this forward, I think, made it more visible to us that it needed tweaking, was the fact that there was a business willing to do some extensive work down on the waterfront. And unfortunately, I think they felt that the city was not willing to work with them. So agree, we need to change our approach on that. There are codes in place now, and yes, some of these things you can't do now, but it's within this council's power to change those things. And there are things changing down there. So, save further remarks for when we get into our main discussion, but I think there are several things there that I think are basic about that we need to change. The first few things.
Well, I think we can get a lot accomplished just working directly with business without the planner, see how much we can knock out. We will get to a point where we will need to have assistance, I believe, in that area.
If I might be able to help council, you have on board, on staff, both a certified planner, and we do have contracts with engineers. And that certified planner can assist us in getting together with our business community and come back to work with council. And we already have that in place. We can just further utilize it. Now that council is willing to consider modifications and needed changes to this 21-year-old document, we can certainly begin that process. There are individuals in this audience who are looking forward to that kind of encounter, and we certainly can provide it to them at a minimal expense.
Okay.
So I think the approach, though, is we can sit here and go through a lot of these line by line, line item by line item. But if I think that maybe putting the apple, it's my opinion, maybe putting the cart before the horse. If you have a planner and an architect, or whatever term you want to use, design the district down there, based on that design, you can then see if there's any problems with the design. Does it conform to this document, or does it not? More likely than not, it probably will not. At which point, then the planners could come back to us and say, well, we want to put these lights here, this sign here, we want to put a marina in over here, and then at that point in time, we can address what they plan and design as it relates to this document. For instance, it's like Will said, on the prohibited activities. If, for instance, the planner would come up with, well, you need a marina down there. In order to have a marina, you need a gas station, right? And a fueling station. We make that happen. We make it possible. We legislate that out of the prohibited uses. They say you need outside vessel storage. We do that. But thinks I'm lazy. I would like to see them do the work, and then we can then determine which provisions in this document we need to change. It's just a thought. As far as the economics, it's a good point. I mean, everything costs money. Well, I don't know if the money's available. If there's any money that's been in the budget, that we have money to be able to do this, to get this initiated.
We already, excuse me, we already have a planner on staff who can begin the initial work, and once that initial work starts, we can find out the amount of time any additional funds come back to council, and then reappropriate funds if necessary. There can be funds made available.
Well, there you.
My question is this isn't the only document we have on waterfront overlay district. This is just part of the charter that's in our packet right now. The actual waterfront, was it WOD, is a separate plan, which I had seen in the past, and I thought it was an excellent plan. It included lighting and sidewalks and all of that sort of thing. And when this originally came up, I thought that's what we were going to discuss, and not just the ordinance. And each time we come to an issue that is a problem for our businesses and maybe a problem for the city, I think we should compare them to our ordinances and change the ordinances accordingly. But that original plan is what I thought we were talking about tonight. And so I'm a little lost right now. The one, do you know which one I'm talking about? It used to be on their city website.
Yeah, it was the layout for the.
It was all laid out, yeah.
Yeah, I would think, to help us get started, it would be, in my opinion, very helpful if the businesses would take just a few minutes of their time. If they have something they need, if there's something in the WOD right now that's not working for you, put down what it is, how it can be changed to help you in another direction. I think that's probably the best way to start. And then we can work off of that and toward the other problems that, I know there's an issue about fueling down there, and I know we don't allow it, yet from what I understand, there is a truck down there that fuels, and it's not controlled, it's not overseen by the DEP, it's not overseen by anyone, pretty much. It goes down there, fuels up, and it would probably be better to, if we're going to have fuel down there, to make sure that it's done properly so we don't have damage to the waterway. Things like that we are definitely going to need to move forward on. I agree with everyone. I think before we get to the city planner, though, I think we need to know what the businesses need and what the businesses are looking for down there. That'll give us a target to start with. And then as we move forward, and we get a clearer vision of what we're after down there, we can give that to the city planner and we can take it home from there.
I would like to suggest to council that I open my office to the business community, to have them come into my office and simply sit down and talk with me to provide initial kinds of operations, for instance, that Mr. Puccini spoke about. And from that, once we have that common dialogue, we can move together to come back to council and with the city planner, come up with something that's workable for the business community and for the city in general. It's fairly simple, fairly quick, need not be strung out over a series of months. Because in this instance, since we're moving forward with the dredging, we'll be moving forward with some of the other issues that are spoken about in this plan, which is street patterns, sidewalks, signage, and it's a critical step. And it's a very easy thing to do, and I'm sure that there are willing commercial endeavors out there who'll be more than happy to meet with us.
You know, it would be wonderful if we could find some way to start moving forward on this. But right now, we're a little handicapped for the next few months. I think that would give us the time to have the businesses submit their ideas. We can start pooling these things. And as soon as we're back up to full strength, I would like to see us move ahead, at least on some of the original
I
things.
agree, but right now, we know this fueling and vessel storage is holding up a potential project at the district. And it is just a change of ordinance that we can get the ball rolling like you want to. Obviously, this is a much bigger program we have to deal with, but we know that this is an impediment right now. And I think that we could take care of that one right off the bat.
Excuse me, we're,
It would require some motion here, that the city attorney would prepare something for you.
okay. Yeah, I guess we'll take it to the city attorney from there. Can you do this piecemeal?
Short answer would be yes. The water overlay district's just that, an overlay district, which are restrictions and requirements on top of the underlying zoning, but you can change pieces of it. We've done that before in the city. You know, removing some so you could allow marinas relatively easy. I'd probably chat with Dallas to see if these are the only two things stopping it, but I think it is, those two.
Yeah.
But short answer is yes.
Okay. Well, we can't,
It requires an ordinance, you know,
Well,
2 readings,
do we-
that kind of stuff. I just need direction if you.
Do we need to do a motion to get an ordinance?
I just need permission to
Or-
prepare an
Well, then I
ordinance
would
to
like
bring
to
we
see
back.
can't,
that.
Yeah,
we can't do motions.
You
This
do
is
it
a
at the next
workshop,
meeting.
so-
You just need to give me
You-
formal
Yes.
advice to do it.
Wanna
that's all.
proceed
You can do
with-
that at the next
Okay.
meeting. You do.
Yes.
Right at the beginning.
Can we get the information on the new ways of doing this fueling and stuff so that we can get this marina up and working without this difficulty? Because that's a non-permitted thing in there, and I think if we can have the newer technology and we have that information available, then we can get ahead on that.
I'll be more than happy to get it.
That technology is available.
It-
California compliant is a lot of those issues
Right,
with fueling and
it's
shut-offs
simple.
and safety.
I've spoken with Mr. Kolokitis, I've spoken with Mark, I've spoken with that information is readily available, and I'll be more than happy to incorporate in any, with Mr. Foss, with any changes necessary, so we can bring it back to council to make modifications that you're requesting.
Is that project still alive, or?
I believe
we
it
have
is.
interested parties?
If not the original developers, but a different set of developers. But that project, to my knowledge, is still alive.
Okay. And I believe we should move forward sooner with some of these things so that we don't impede their progress.
So, excuse me, so if we can get this information on the fueling and we can all feel comfortable about having fuel in the waterfront district, then we can change the ordinance at that point? Would that be the better way to go?
Exactly, I would, yeah, certainly. We can get the information provided to the city attorney, and he can come back with a recommendation at the next council meeting.
Well, then I think everybody would feel very comfortable if they knew and understood what we were going to start to incorporate in this area and how we were doing that. And the residents would also be comfortable with that decision if they understood what we were trying to do before we changed the ordinance.
Once there is something drafted, we can most certainly put it out in media so that the general public can view it, the business community can view it, and have valuable input when it comes back to this council for council to make a decision. So once that is drafted, we certainly can publish it. That's not a problem at all.
Well, along with that, I know there was some discussion about vessel storage over there as well.
Same
so-
thing.
Yeah.
Those are the two issues, the fueling
Correct.
and the storage.
Correct.
Move that project ahead.
So I think that would probably be a good place to start. I believe you have your direction now
Yeah,
to start.
We're good, right? You wanna bring
Okay.
back first reading with those two removed and I'll
Okay.
talk to Dallas. I don't think there's anything else in there restricting the marina, right?
But don't let that, please don't let that deter the businesses from giving us their ideas, that's crucial.
Right.
Because we have no idea what you need down there. We have an idea, but nothing concise that we aren't in your shoes, we don't know. Mr. Soyan, you want to come up?
Eric Soinen, 5914 Treadway. From my opinion here, is the WOD, the original plan, I don't think there's a whole lot of money we're gonna need to spend here.
Correct.
I think that plan, and I'm talking about the conceptual here, you know, I think we can pretty much draw out on there and get the city planners to, you know, get what we need to be able to put together a plan to get pricing on different things. And I think the biggest thing here too is we just need to get started. If we do incremental things and keep it simple, and just maybe we just look along Old Post Road first, and then or maybe the other side, you know, I mean, wherever, but just narrow this down and make it smaller. It's, you know, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And we just, you know, start that way, so it's easier for everybody to swallow. It's just an opinion, but I really don't see it as being that complicated.
You know, my wish had been for our hike and bike trail to be continued beyond where it stops by you, around that corner and down through those businesses, so eventually, when we open that bridge up, we can connect.
Right.
And that was my dream, and, you know, I hope we will reach that soon, but, you know, if you're willing to, you know, as you said before, work with us so we can put something around that corner.
Absolutely.
It's so important we get people out of the street.
It is, and I'm telling you that, you know, to simplify this, you ask what the businesses need. Basically, that plan, one-way streets, sidewalks, and lighting. Those are your first things here. Because
Correct.
at night, it's dark, you've got families. I've never seen the bayou so busy as this weekend. There was a cancer fundraiser on Sunday at the Pirate Bar. We had our Johnny Cash thing on the Saturday, and I mean, it looked like the 4th of July. You know, I mean, it was packed, so somebody's gonna get hurt. And that's why I think if we just focus on sidewalks, street lighting, and one-way streets, you know, repaving, because there's a lot of potholes, and start there. And what I thought I might do is get with the city manager in Newport Richie, because I'm sure they got a deal with Duke on all their street lights, you know, where they just pay incrementally over, you know, over a long period of time. The street lights that I lit up in our little piece was $10 a month per. So I'm sure there's deals like that we can work out, but in a sidewalk, you're looking at $3 a square foot of concrete. So it's not crazy. And I just think if we just start this, we can accomplish a lot in a short period of time.
Now, sir, if I may, we have a parking issue down there. Do you agree?
Yes,
Okay. Is there anything that you can do to help with that?
we are.
Okay. And
We
what
are.
is it? What is it that you plan to do?
Well, I gotta, Chuck, you wanna help me out on this? Yeah, it's coming. And it's not my place to announce anything or any of that, but,
If I can help you, Mr. Sonyan, Mr. Sonyan is working with the city, well, indirectly, with another organization that will eventually provide potentially some relief that'll be coming to council for council's consideration in one form or another very shortly. And it may, if it comes to fruition, it may alleviate a lot of these parking issues.
it will. It will.
And
that'll-
in concert with that, we're also looking at possible modifications to our parking requirements, size, et cetera, but we'll be working on that.
In fact, we had hoped that they were gonna present at tonight's council meeting. But I wanted to just mention this too now. When we bought this old mobile home park, I came in front of the council at that time and said that this needs to be a city, public-private partnership. And, you know, for whatever reason, it just never happened and it never went. And then, you know, we were able to get that property priced at a comfortable enough price for somebody like me to make a move on it. There is another piece of property that is right up the road here that is vacant. It used to be, the old Mellons used to, in fact, I met my wife there. No. Yeah. But there's I think it's 6.5 acres, and it is priced right. It is, I mean, it's like, you know, it would be perfect. It's a 10-minute walk, and it's a 2-minute golf cart ride. And it opens up other opportunities for maybe trolleys, or shared bikes, or shared golf carts, or any of these things. The problem with this property is it's got a swale right down the middle of it, so it's gonna be hard for some big developer, I would think, to look at this without going to some great expense, because I'm sure that swale has to stay. But a parking lot, you can work around a swale. So it's just something to think about, and I think the price right now is very, very reasonable. So, something to look at.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak from the public again?
That's it.
Young lady? Okay. Well, back to council. Council have anything they want to finish up on this? I think the city attorney has his direction. You're all set? Everybody's set? All right, I'll look for a motion.
Motion to adjourn?
A motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second? Meeting is adjourned. All in favor, say aye.